This is a guy who I am aware of. He's one of those people that I have a vague familiarity with, and that's just as a byproduct of running the forum. However, I don't have a deep understanding of him or his history, but I will try my best to explain this. A long time ago, in a galaxy far away, there was a young internet, and deviant art arose on this young internet as a place for artists to post their art and also their very, very terrible fan fiction. Lo and behold, a brave soldier of furrydom named Dragoneer started. Oh, it is Fur Affinity. Now, I could be wrong. Could be somebody else and he just took over, but I'm pretty sure it's Dragoneer. Started Fur Affinity, which is just deviant art for furries. And I think part of that probably has to do with porn, because it's very pornographic, I think. This kind of became like the central furry art repository. Zolcano started it, I guess, but Dragoneer runs it. And I want to say that there is a kind of a rivalry between Dragoneer and another guy that runs a bunch of other furry shit, and he's kind of trying to start up his competition to Fur Affinity because Fur Affinity sucks, and it hasn't been improved for a very long time. This has kind of opened the doors for someone else to try and compete with it. Who is the guy that runs the other furry sites? The guy that sticks massive dragon dildos up his ass. The horse guy. Oh, that's killing me. Not Vouch. Varka, that's it. This guy with the furry avatar, he happens to know who Varka is. Surprise. No, not Vouch. Vouch does not run a bunch of furry sites. It's Varka. The whole point of that diatribe is that Fur Affinity is on the downslope. And at one point, Dragoneer sold Fur Affinity to MVU, which I'm pretty sure MVU was the name of that social media network that was like the most horrific Bratz doll looking avatars ever. I've never used MVU, but I am aware of it. MVU quickly realized they had bought a turd, and Dragoneer quickly realized that without Fur Affinity, his life had no meaning, so he bought it back at a loss. That's how good this guy is with business. Now, from what I understand, Dragoneer is like 500 pounds. I don't know if it's a meme, but people say that he's like death fat, mortar-bound, stuck in bed. I can believe that, but he complains about his health constantly. Now, you would think the guy who runs one of the largest furry social media sites in existence, and even if it's not that big, furries, for whatever reason, are some of the spendiest people on the planet. There is nothing easier parted than a furry from his money. For whatever reason, they love to spend money in the community. And generally speaking, if you run a big furry website, you should be making a fuck ton of money. Dragoneer has not managed to adequately monetize his site, and I've heard like a billion excuses for this. Like, it's hard to get advertisers, he sells premium, but he doesn't add any features to make it worthwhile, and so on and so forth. There's no fucking excuse. If you own like a legitimate website that has a huge user base, and they're all furries, you should be cash out the ass rich. He's apparently having a bit of an issue, and his issue is that he's out of money. He's like openly begging on Blue Sky. So here's what he's saying. He goes by Near, by the way, no relation. AC repair folks are here. It turns out it got so hot from this heat wave, one of the capacitors blew. He's, oh shit, it's $800. This includes a full cleaning, multiple replace parts, and a ton of coolant. My unit has a tiny micro link. His health, oh my god, the pulmonologist got back to me. I'm not gonna die. I can't stop crying. Did they give you any kind of diagnosis? He says, not over the phone. Appointment is July 30th. I have some time, but I have a reason to fight now. I've lost like 90% of my strength. Breathing is incredibly hard. I've got like every symptom of pneumonia, and I don't want to have it. So this is the other thing. He's like broke as fuck, and for whatever reason does not qualify for Medicaid. So he's begging to like pay all of his bills cash, and he doesn't have insurance because he can't afford private insurance. But for whatever reason, he's also somehow fucked himself over. Posting a copy of my initial diagnosis when they thought it was just pneumonia. I wanted to provide some transparency, so many people have put their trust and kindness in me. I guess this is him going in for an x-ray. Weight 400 pounds. Okay, so that does conform it. He is 400 pounds. He has a BMI of 55. That is crazy. The greatest thing I've learned in my life is to let things go. No matter the regrets, the I wish I had, and the painful memories of the past, I cannot change what has been, only what will be. To dwell on the past is to let grief consume you. All you can do is be the version you, I assume he means want to be, moving forward. He says, I'm viewing this as a future me problem, and I just need to get through it first. I'll be launching a GoFundMe because, well, I can't work. Treatment is estimated to take 2 to 3 months. I have a fever of 102 right now, and I can only focus on one thing at a time. By the way, I just remembered, this was actually important, the 400 thing, because I think he posted receipts before, and he was over 500. So he lost, his sickness is so severe that he's lost 100 pounds of fat just by, I guess, fighting off disease or something. He's saying that his lungs look fucked. He has a $5,000 medical bill. You have a $25,000 estimate. I just want to kind of, I don't know, maybe this will become something more interesting over time. Because does this guy have a living will for Fur Affinity? Who does he give it to? I'm struggling. It's like you can't afford your medical bills, but we have Medicaid in the U.S. How do you not qualify for that? If it's like if Fur Affinity is his asset that disqualifies him from having Medicaid, like why would you not structure your assets in such a way that like you don't own them? Like put Fur Affinity into a trust, have you be the beneficiary or executor of the trust, and then don't own it. Like, do anything besides just sit there complacent, waiting to die because you can't afford medical bills. Like I think there is possible to figure this out at this point. Maybe just enjoy his e-begging.
1 week later.
I mentioned Fur Affinity last stream because I mentioned Dragoneer the prior stream, and in the time between those streams, Dragoneer, the owner of Fur Affinity, had the good grace and sensibility to die, and now so they're asking the Fur Affinity community to finance $27,000 to pay off Dragoneer's medical expenses, $20,000 to deal with the legal fees associated with Fur Affinity, because they're trying to figure out how to legalize the ownership transition, and apparently that has to be officiated by a $20,000 attorney. $17,000 was for balance due to Imvu for FA's buyback. So I didn't know that. I thought that Dragoneer had bought Fur Affinity from Imvu or Imvu or whatever in cash, but no, he still owes $17,000 on that. So they have just made a killing off of him. $12,600 for 6 months mortgage on Dragoneer's house. Why that has anything to do with Fur Affinity, I don't know. They're just asking them to foot the bill on his poor finances. An $8,000 public celebration of life, and that's estimated, so that could be higher. $3,000 for the medical examiner and cremation. $1,000 for an urn? Are you fucking dude? Come on. They put Bew in like a toilet bowl for like $30, and then just like carve the name Kirk Grinder onto it. I'm pretty sure you don't need a $1,000 urn. You gotta go to Shenzhen and get that shit for cheap. They got that stuff on standby for like $1. $1,000 for Rita's travel costs. I don't know where the fuck Rita is going, considering we're also paying for his mortgage. And then triple parentheses for IRS, unknown total cost at this time. So somebody hasn't paid the IRS. They don't know how much they owe the IRS, and they approximate between $0 and infinity dollars owed to the IRS in regards to back taxes, either on behalf of... Dragoneer's fucking dead, so it can't be his. I assume they mean the business hasn't paid tax. They probably discovered that Dragoneer has probably never paid taxes. I bet you, by the way, that $20,000 includes paying a business attorney to calculate 15 years of back filings for the company and figuring out how much they owe the IRS, because Dragoneer has never paid it in his life. I guarantee you that $20,000 for sure includes some tax accounting that has never happened. Literally charging them like $1,000 per year or something like that, just to go back and backfile everything and get the corporation back in good standing. That's definitely what that is. So there you go. Okay, so update on the dead furry Dragoneer. This is a very, very, very long. This includes some of the costs that were covered in the other one. But they confirmed that the legal ownership of the site was transferred to Dragoneer's ex-wife. And here's his fundraiser. I mentioned that he wanted an absurd amount of money, close to $80,000 for handling Fur Affinity. He raised $161,000 for it, close to twice what they asked for. So congratulations, Fur Affinity. You did it. You made the cost. Good job.
1 week later.
The other thing that happened immediately after my last stream, and I was basically almost asleep, and then I got the call. I got the emergency call. Urgent. Domain hijacking. It appears someone is trying to redirect our domain to a site that is not associated with Fur Affinity. This could lead to a phishing page that mimics our website in appearance. Please avoid visiting our URL or interacting with the website. A hacker hacked or gained access to the Cloudflare page for Fur Affinity. And since they're in this transitory period where nobody really has control over the website because Dragoneer died, it took hours for them to stop it. Originally, he directed it to this. He says the furry community has a rampant... He also got the Twitter account for both this account and for Dragoneer's account. The furry community has a rampant pedophilia problem that everyone turns a blind eye to. And then he redirected Fur Affinity to prosecutors boy sexually abused at furry parties by network of men. So he redirected everybody to this Washington Post article about furry pedophiles. And then very quickly after that, he directed it to the Kiwi Farms. To the point where I disabled registrations for a full day. And I told people, I said, attention furries! Attention furries! The administration of this website has no affiliation with the hackers who have redirected Fur Affinity to the Kiwi Farms. This is a joke at both of our expenses. And then immediately after that, all the furries started mass reporting the Kiwi Farms as a phishing website because they were angry. So people using Avast and Norton were getting false positives for phishing on the Kiwi Farm. So I had to also tell people to report that. And the last thing he did before the site was reclaimed was he actually specifically redirected the site to the Animal Control Board, which is about furries. Only a couple people actually joined after the block was lifted. But literally 10,000 furries, maybe a little bit less, like 8,000 to 9,000 furries, were redirected to the Kiwi Farms at any given time. I had to change some stuff real quick to make sure that the site was like stable with that level. We also got DDoS attacked. There were some hiccups, but the Kiwi Flare actually did pretty well, and the site ran just fine. So we had an elevated user count from about 2,000 to 3,000 or up to 4,000 on midday, up to over almost 12,000 at certain times, but just around 10,000 for a while. And almost all of those were Fur Affinity users who were very confused. A lot of furries are like intellectually disabled. Like they're so autistic they can't really understand things. And I got 3 or 4 different confused emails saying like, hey, what's the Kiwi Farms? Is Fur Affinity down for good? Is this the new Fur Affinity? It was granted, it was only like a handful of people, but there was like some genuine confusion. Like, is this like the new site? What is this? So, I had to explain in simple language. No, it's just a glitch. Don't worry about it. So that's the Dragoneer stuff. He went on Twitter and shouted out the Kiwi Farms, changed the flag in his name to a kiwi for a while, but they've reclaimed access to it. Oh, also he directly followed on the Fur Affinity account, directly followed the Kiwi Farms Twitter account.